Have you ever been driving and just looked at the road? I mean, really looked at it? Today, we're diving into a question that sounds super simple on the surface, but the answer is going to take us on a pretty cool little journey into the world of civil engineering. So let's get right to it. Here's the challenge. You need to build a road for 5,000 cars a day, all heading in the same direction. How much space do you actually need? Is there some magic number you can just look up? You would think, right? You'd imagine there's a big engineering rule book and you just flip to the right page and there's the answer. But it's really not that simple. It turns out there's no single rule that just says, for 5,000 cars, make the road this wide. And, well, that's where our investigation really begins. Since there isn't one easy answer waiting for us, we're going to have to put on our detective hats. We'll follow the clues, piece together the evidence from a few different sources, and basically build our answer from the ground up. Ready? Let's get into it. Okay, every good investigation needs a starting point. Our first clue is going to come from the top, from Austroads, which sets the national guidelines for road design here in Australia. Let's see what it tells us about the most basic piece of the puzzle, the traffic lane itself. First, a little bit of lingo you need to know. ADT. It stands for average daily traffic, and it's exactly what it sounds like, the average number of cars that use a road in a 24-hour period. So for our case, the ADT is 5,000. Simple enough. And boom, here it is, our first critical piece of evidence. According to the National Rulebook, the standard go-to width for a single traffic lane is 3.5 meters. This number is our fundamental building block. But, you know, it's not always 3.5 meters. If you're in a really tight spot, like a dense city street, engineers can squeeze that down to 3.3 meters. Anything smaller than that is pretty rare, though. For our road, which is new and busy, we're definitely going to stick with that 3.5 meter standard. So the national guide gives us a solid start, but rules can get more specific at the state level. Our investigation now leads us down to Victoria to see what the local authority, VicRoads, has to add to the story. So, the million-dollar question is, does VicRoads have a specific rule for a road with a 5,000 ADT? Are they going to give us that magic number we're looking for? Let's dig in. And this is where it gets a little tricky. We look through the main design standards and nothing. No direct link between traffic volume and road width. It feels like a dead end. But then, tucked away in the rules for roadworks, we find another clue. They require a 3.5 meter clear path for cars during maintenance. So it's not our final answer, but it's another big check mark next to that 3.5 meter number. Okay, just when we think we've hit a wall, a new clue pops up from a place you might not expect, a local government planning authority. See, sometimes the most practical, real-world rules come from the local level, where the big ideas actually have to be built. And there it is. Look at that. The Victorian Planning Authority has a table, and it seems to give us a direct answer. For traffic between 3,000 and 7,000 vehicles per day, and our 5,000 fits right in there, it calls for a 7.0 meter width. Perfect. Case closed, right? Well, not so fast. There's a plot twist. That 7.0 meter number, that's for a standard two-way street. You know, one lane going one way, one lane going the other. Two 3.5 meter lanes. But our road has 5,000 cars all going the same way. That's a way heavier, more intense traffic load. So this clue is super helpful, but it's not our final answer just yet. All right, we've gathered evidence from the national level, the state level, and the local level. We have all the pieces of the puzzle. Now it's time to put it all together and figure this thing out for good. The investigation is over. It's time for the final calculation. Let's think about this logically. For 5,000 cars all heading in one direction, a single lane just isn't going to cut it. It's not safe, it's not efficient, and what happens if one car breaks down? The whole thing grinds to a halt. So you definitely need at least two lanes. That's our starting point. So here's how we build it. Step 1. 2 standard lanes at 3.5 meters each. That gets us to 7.0 meters. But a road isn't just the lanes cars drive in, right? You need shoulders for safety, for breakdowns, for drainage. So, step 2, we add some sealed shoulders. A meter or two is pretty reasonable. And that brings us to our final calculation. So, the final answer to our big question is a road between 8.0 and 9.0 meters wide. That's the total space an engineer would design to safely and efficiently handle 5,000 cars a day, all moving in the same direction. And I think the coolest takeaway here is that we couldn't just find this number in a book. We had to build it. We had to combine different guidelines, understand the context of the problem, and apply some basic design principles. It was a process of deduction, not just looking something up. Kind of makes you think, doesn't it? The road you drive on isn't just a strip of pavement. It's a carefully calculated design. And that's true for so much of the world around us. So what other hidden calculations, what other invisible designs are quietly shaping your day-to-day life? Thanks for joining the investigation.